Hello, welcome adventurers. My name is Adam, and this is the Fighting Fantasy playlist. And in today's episode, we're talking all about Spectral Stalkers. Spectral Stalkers is book 45 in the Fighting Fantasy playlist, and it is the second release of 1991. The book was written by Peter Darville Evans, and the cover illustrations here were done by Ian Miller, and all the internal illustrations were done by Tony Ho. And I must say, the internal illustrations, again, for the whole series, are fantastically drawn. You know, really interesting drawings, and the story itself is pretty interesting. But the cover illustration, I must say, is a standout piece for me for this book. The on first glance at it, when you look at it, you think, "Oh, that's a nice drawing," but then you see all this really fine detail lined into the drawings, and the style of the drawings. They're kind of creepy looking. They're almost like, Nightmare Before Christmas type of creepy drawings. Which means, like, you look at this and go, "Ooh, spectral stalkers. What could that mean?" Well, let's dive into the book and find out. It says, "The Aleph is a prize beyond all measure, a mysterious artifact from another dimension, which can be used to harness all the forces of the universe. Within the swirling globe, one may gaze at an exact copy of all the planes of existence, or perhaps at existence itself. Now, whether by fate or fortune, the Aleph has arrived in Kull and been entrusted to you for safekeeping. You must use its unearthly powers to transport you through the dimensions and overcome the many obstacles in your way until you can return it to its rightful owner. But beware, for others also seek to own the Aleph, especially the terrifying Spectral Stalkers." So, as you can see, this book is kind of like an adventure where you're on the adventure, And a first for the series is in the adventure sheet. It's got a trail sort of score that you've got to keep track of. And basically, what that is these spectral stalkers are tracking you through your adventure. And your score of trail begins at 0, but as you go on and you begin to sort of read on in the book, your trail score will creep up, and when it gets to a certain point, these spectral stalkers are aware of your existence and they're tracking you down. And if it gets to a certain point, they've got you, and your adventure ends. So it's kind of like it's almost like a time restrict, but it's a very interesting mechanic. First for the series, this book in fact is quite thick. Compared to other books. Still only 400 pages, but it's got a lot of detail in it. But it's a frustrating read because it deals with interdimensional travel, and you're traveling between these existences or planes of existence. And so you're reading that you're in a cave one moment, and then you turn the page, and suddenly you're in a field, and it's a different even time. And it's actually set, I believe, in Cool, the continent of Cool, but it's just a very jarring read because if you don't have your wits about you, you'll sort of lose your place. And I'll tell you, it's so easy to lose your place in this book because one missed sort of paragraph, or one you go to the wrong paragraph and you won't even know. You know what I mean? Because there's all this sort of swapping about, and every time you enter a new dimension, there's not a lot of setup for what everything looks like. You're suddenly thrown into a conversation, which I must say the conversation is pretty lazy. It's like, "I need you to do this, so go do that," and there's no kind of characterization for people. They just literally say, "You need to do this, go do it," and it's kind of like, "Oh, really? Is that all? Okay." But it's a very interesting story. You've got the Aleph that helps you travel in between dimensions. It's a fun read. I will be going back to it. I probably would say you need to read it 2 or 3 times, in order to fully appreciate it. I haven't finished the book yet, so I definitely will be going back to complete it. For collectors, it's a must read. My memories of this book, when I had a Dungeoneer book, which is a advanced fighting fantasy book. There's a video about that. Go check it out. Um, when I had that in the list of books, you always get your sort of at the front. You go get the other books in the series. This Spectral Stalkers was kind of like the last entry. So for me, it was always like, this is the pinnacle of the Final Fantasy series, even though there's like another 19 books to go. But for me, this was the pinnacle. So this had a lot to live up to. Maybe that was the reason I kind of feel disappointed by it. But I think after 2 or 3 more reads, I'll feel differently. For anybody who is enjoying the series, check it out. It's a very interesting read. It's a favourite amongst some fans, not a lot of fans, but quite a few. So it is worth reading, worth checking out, and that's Spectral Stalkers. So that's it for this episode. Let me know your thoughts and your adventures with Spectral Stalkers, and in the next episode we will be going to quite a rare book actually called Power of Destruction, with a very interesting cover, which you can find out next week in the Final Fantasy series. So take care, everybody. Don't forget to head us up on Facebook and learn all about our live events. And I shall see you next time, adventurers. Take care. Bye bye.